Here we go. Here's our count. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's as good as it's gonna get. I mean, if that doesn't work, who knows? There's nothing else. Yeah, we're done. We need to cancel the podcast. It's over. We just gotta stop.
And we want to say goodbye and thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for this short run. It was great. We had 5 listeners, and we're forget you guys. What is going on? You are listening to the Urban Prophets Podcast. Oh yeah, we in the house. Oh yeah, we in the house. In the house. Oh yeah, better watch your mouth. Jerome's in the house. Better watch your mouth. Except it's not Jerome. It's Donovan and Nikki. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody.
All right. Our street cred ability is now dead.
We've lost a couple notches in that.
Yeah. That's all right though, man. I'm wearing a black hoodie right now, and it's got a Harriet Tubman quote on it. We out. So we in there. Even though it says we out.
In my underwear.
We in there. Okay. I'm glad I'm not seeing that visual.
You will when I send you this video.
I know. I'm not looking forward to that at all. But dude, let's get into this episode.
Yo, let's get in.
This episode is entitled Entanglement. And that's like entanglement with multiple question marks after it. Ooh, ... entanglement. Like we've accepted it. So here's how we came to this. So I tried to be funny on Instagram.
And it was.
I posted this post. And my post, I'm new to the game, so I usually get, I don't know, maybe like around 100 people that view it or something like that. But I noticed that very quickly. I did the video, then I went and sat down to eat my lunch. And right from walking outside filming it to sitting down, it's like, 35, that's cool. And then I took a bite of my noodles and it jumped on up to 45, 50, and I ate some other noodles and it was already at 100. I'm like, whoa, look, what? And I'm not, and I don't want to go into it, but for a newbie, this post is doing numbers. It's actually, this post right now is currently at 2,971 views with 268 likes.
What?
Yeah. And now, because what I did is I was smart. For anybody, here's a little tip. It's not related to anything we're talking about other than we're talking about IG right now. Right. When you find a post is doing well, that's the post that you want to try to do the little promote, the little promote button, right? Especially if you're trying to build your audience. That's the post that you want to push promote and give you like $30 and let them shoot it out to the rest of the Instagram world and people start to get to know you. That's the one you want to do. So that's probably why it's almost at 3,000 views right now. And I know, like, for somebody that's a celebrity, that's like nothing. But for somebody, some small fry new in the game like myself, I'm doing numbers.
Yeah, that's big cheese, man.
But it just got me thinking. I was like, man, wow. We might need to talk about this. We might be hitting a nerve. That's what these podcasts is supposed to be about, man. What the people talk about is supposed to join into the conversation and talk about what the people is talking about. Yeah. And that's what we doing. That's what we doing. You know what I'm saying? That's what we all about. And so we decided we're gonna talk about some entanglements.
Hey.
We're going to talk about it. And so here's the thing. We are going to talk about Will and Jada, but that's not going to be the main focus. That's not our main focus. Our main focus is to talk about the subject of entanglement. and we're gonna get into some things. Oh, we're gonna get into some things. All right. But let before we do that, let's go ahead and take a little bit and talk about the actual situation that brought this about, that brought it to be. The Will and Jada Red Table Talk, where Jada brought herself to the table. All right, we call it the altar in church. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms is open wide. But they bringing themselves to the table. And I don't know if you got a chance to take a look at this at all, man. But it was an interesting thing. It was very short. It was less than 13 minutes, the whole thing.
How long are the red tables usually?
I think usually they run like around 50 minutes.
Okay.
And
usually she has
50.
somebody come on. I mean, for somebody who may not know or have seen the red table, not me, but somebody else who may have never seen it, right?
Yeah, right.
My friend Ricky told me about it. He'd never seen it. Yeah, Ricky
Limey. Ricky Limey. Okay, yeah, okay.
But
not Icky Timey, but Ricky.
No, not Icky Timey. No.
Okay, no, go ahead. Continue.
By the way, Ricky, if you're watching, we're about to help you out.
Okay. You don't have. Okay, everybody knows it. All right, go ahead. Now, go ahead.
Here we go.
All right, Ricky, out there listening.
This is for you, Ricky.
All right.
So this red couch.
There is no
table.
Ricky. Everybody. Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Don't hurt Ricky's feelings. Okay.
Yeah.
So she'll bring somebody out who's a celebrity or somebody well known, maybe an influencer, and they'll just kind of talk about life, right?
Yeah, they usually bring. They usually having a come to Jesus moment. They're bringing something that has been a weight in their life, a difficulty, a struggle, a challenge, and they bare their soul. They got tissues on deck, on lock, and she be coming and hitting them with the spiritual guruosity.
Okay.
Because she's got the insight into what it takes to heal people and whatnot. And so so she listens to their story. Her mom, who they call Gammy. and
like
and her daughter Willow, and they all sit there and they listen and they give their empathetic yes, speak it, say it. But this one was different. It wasn't long at all. It was actually kind of sterile and cold.
Really?
Yeah. And it was just really awkward, like the whole time. It's like, any awkward conversation that you ever have to have, it's like, okay, you went into the bathroom, you told your friend to close, that the door doesn't lock, and so you asked them to stand guard. But they saw that there was $50 wings for $15, and so they went and got that deal. And while they were going and purchasing their wings, lemon pepper, by the way, Louisiana rub, so it was worth it. Somebody comes and walks in on you while you're in the bathroom, and then now you have to have the conversation as to what happened in that situation. And so
it's
that
like
was
you read
it was
my life story, man.
It was awkward. Yeah. So
wow.
It was bad. It wasn't good. It was not a pleasant thing to really watch. It wasn't like excruciating. It was just kind of like, bro, in a sense this needs to be way longer, but in a sense this could have been way shorter. Because what happened is, and I just got a couple of points that jumped out to me. I mean, I've watched it several times now, so it's not like I'm kind of numb to it, But I just know it's like, like when somebody gets in trouble and they're trying to I don't know, fill out this. I don't know what they're trying to do. They know they're in trouble. You know what they did. They know what they did. They don't want to just come out and say it, right? So they're sitting there. They come to the table. And while they're sitting at the table, Jada's like, look, I wanted to bring myself to the table because... And I'm like, all right,
and she's talking to somebody. She's talking to Will?
She's talking to Will. It's just her and Will. They're at opposite ends of the table. And so she's, this is why I wanted to come to the table. I really didn't want to have to do it, but I had to do it. And listen, if you didn't want to do it, you really didn't have to. But you did because you feel like, you got to answer everybody's questions in the media and clear everything up. And she says she wants healing. And she threw that word healing around so much, it was almost had no meaning. Wow. And then Will gets there and he's like, I wanted to come to the table, and he talks about why he wants to come to the table, and we're like, look, we know why y'all at the table. We don't need to hear. Just get to it. And so Will kind of gets into there, and he's like, all right, come on. What happened? Tell us what happened, Jada. And instead of her, this is what I would have liked to see. I would have loved to see where she goes here, where Will's like, Jada, what happened? And she's just like, I messed up. I effed up.
Just came out with it.
I just messed up, But the problem was she didn't see it that way. She didn't see it as her messing up.
She never conceded to having messed up.
Yeah, she never conceded to having messed it up. And it was crazy because, she says all this stuff that you don't really care about. Like, everybody we know why you're here, Jada. Just get into the tea. Just get into it. All right? She's like, she's like, well, I think, it started about 4 years ago, 4 or 5, 4.5. We don't care. We don't care how many years ago it was. Who cares? We know August Alsina had an interview, and he said in the interview that y'all was in a relationship.
So
and
he straight called it out.
He said it, man. He said it. But even he talked about it kind of weird. That's like a whole other thing. I don't know why nobody can. That is a pet peeve of mine. When people just can't just come out and just say that whatever the thing is. I've been in several situations in life where I'm like, look, we all know what it is. Just come out and say it so we can move on, so we can start the work of dealing with whatever needs to happen in this situation. Like, let's not beat around the bush.
That's like Craigslist language or like real estate language, right? When they say, oh, this is a unique property, it means it's crap and nobody wants it. You know what I mean? Like, this is a cozy space. It means like nobody can fit in there. That's a closet. That's not a cozy room.
Is it a studio apartment? Well, it is a place where love will be found. No, we don't. No, that's not what we're.
The
just
ceiling
say what
is
happened.
A spacious, open. That means you ain't got no roof, dog.
So there's no roof on the house. Is that you're telling us there's no roof on the house? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
we have an open door policy. So you have no door.
You ain't got no doors.
I have to buy my own doors. What you're saying?
Got no doors, man.
Yeah. So she was
easy
talking
access.
all around it,
That
man.
means you ain't got no fences. People driving by.
Everybody's coming in, man. All right,
we got you, man.
So exactly, she was beating around the bush. She said all this stuff, and then that's how we came to. It took her so long to get to what actually got said. They're talking about him being sick and all this. Like, dude, we don't care about none of that stuff. We're here because he said y'all was in a relationship. Was you or was you not in the relationship?
Clear
Jada?
that up.
Just say it, okay? You done brought us all here. Just say it. All right, don't drag this out.
Oh, but maybe you should have started there. Like, just say, hey, look, yes, and now let me give you context.
Yeah, see, that would have been better. Even that would have been better.
That,
you know? But what happened is, so she goes and she says it, and she's like, all right, and she never quite got around to it. It's like Luther Vandross curl never quite curled all the way. It was like she never quite said it.
Almost doesn't count.
Exactly, right? It was like, look, Brandy has told us the way. Right. Almost doesn't count. Say it. And so she got to the phrase that is now, swept the nation, entanglement. And she was like, and then he's like, so Jada, because he even got tired of her beating around the bush. He's like, Jada, what happened? Jada, what happened? And she says, what? I said it. we were having a bad time, and then I got into an entanglement with August. And then he's like, an entanglement. And she says, yeah. And they're laughing because they both know it's some BS.
Yes.
And so he finally got her to at least say relationship. He says, a relationship? And she says, yes, a relationship. Exactly. She's very coy about it, just kind of like brushing it off and blah, 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 blah. But here's my final takeaway from that. Was that we don't care. I mean, like I don't really care, you know.
Right.
The only if you never would have put this out, I wouldn't have known about it and I wouldn't have cared. I'm thankful because it got me a cool post on Instagram that got me talking. I guess what I can say is the one thing that I am glad about, because everybody does kind of idolize. They have like the Hollywood relationship that people have been looking up to. They've been, stayed strong for so long and all this kind of good stuff. But here's the thing. Even their relationship has issues. And so when they brought this out, at least it gets people talking about relationships and thinking about it. And so she did say something that I want to sort of usher us into our conversation that we gonna have today. She did say at the beginning, right? So she's saying they're sitting there and she says, there's like a lot of stuff that's going on in the world right now, right? And even though this is kind of like minor, it's minuscule, she says it's these kind of things that create the world that we're in. And I did think that was interesting because the research and the kind of looking up of things that I did made me realize, we are in a world that is different than I understood it to be, largely. And so I want to begin our conversation now. It's actually quite... We're in it. We're deep in it. Yeah. I want to ask you, what is entanglement? What is entanglement? Now, stop right there. Whatever you got, formulate in your mind, keep formulating that. But here's how I want to get to it. All right? I want to, whatever definition you have, hold it. We're gonna get to that in a minute. But first, a story. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to hit you with the story, and I'm going to hit you with the statement. After I hit you with the story and I say the statement, I want you to agree or disagree with my statement and tell me why, and that is where your definition can come into play and we can get rolling on this. All right, so here's the story.
Fantastic.
All right. There's a young boy. His name is Don Deezy DeLuise Donovan Childs, a.k.a. D-Ball, the extra floppy noodle.
Got it.
He's 11 years old. A young pimp, young player, just doing his thing at Golden Gate Academy in the hoods of Oakland, California.
Oh, yeah.
He's in the 6th grade. He's got his family at home. He's got his friends at church. He's got his friends at school. He comes into a little situation with a honey dip.
All right.
At church.
Okay.
He's 11. She's a little bit older. All the homies that I know, they know who I'm talking about. We ain't got to put it all on the internet. It was when it was back when I was 11. We ain't got to go back, and that's old news, old stuff. When we in a relationship of sorts, whatever relationship he can be in at 11 years old. And then one day, you had to get my preacher stutter on, and then one day,
the Lord,
and one day, a situation popped up at school because there was another young lady. We'll call her young lady B. The first one will be young lady A. This will be young lady B.
Okay.
And you see, with young lady B. An interest, what do you call it? An attraction of sorts began to blossom and burgeon. Burgeon, yes. and friends became aware of this attraction, and so they found that one day it came to pass.
Well,
that in the corner of the playground, there was a spot that was just out of vision of the playground superintendent. And so said friends set up a rendezvous.
All right.
Of these two people, the young player from the Himalayas,
Mercy,
and young Lady B. And young Lady B spoke to the young man, and she said to him, "You know, I like you." Ooh, and the young man found himself admitting that he liked her too.
Ooh,
and young Lady B said, "You know, I can kiss you if you'd like that."
Ooh, my.
And young man said to himself, "I would like that." And I guess he realized he didn't say it in his brain. He didn't say it in his mind to himself. The words actually flowed out from his oral area of his face.
For what come out of the mouth comes from the heart.
That's right. Hey, you indict me too much. Don't agree so much. All right. And what happened next? What transpired next was that young Lady B believed that she received the go-ahead, the consent from this 11-year-old young man, and so she did proceed to kiss said young man in the part of the place, in the place where the supervisor could not see them.
Oh, okay.
And so the kiss happened. The kiss happened, and young man B found himself. The young man found himself in a bit of a quandary between young Lady A, who was his quote unquote girlfriend at church, and young Lady B, who was this fine young flower that he was engaging with at his place of learning. You see, and what happened is this young man was a Christian. And so he knew that this was not right. And no. Yeah. And so he tried to figure out a way to remedy this. And this is what he did.
Oh man, this is gonna be really good. This is like the climax of the story, right?
This is what the young man did. Right. This is where all the video cuts out. Right. And this is what the young man did. Yeah, we'll see you next week for part 2. The young man called Lady A.
Okay.
And he says, "Ma'am, would you mind? Can I interest you in a 1-month break from this relationship?"
I see where this is going.
because in his mind, he didn't realize, he didn't understand commitment. He just knew you ain't supposed to be with two people at the same time. And he wanted to see what was up with young Lady B. And so he asked young Lady A if she wouldn't mind holding off for just a month so this man could go and explore the potential other option. Now, young Lady A had a friend, a ride or die friend, who found out about the young man's request.
They always do.
He found out about the young man's request, and she proceeded to speak to the young man. And she said, "How you gonna be putting my friend on a 1-month hold? What is wrong with you? You're going to date her or you're not." And yes, that was really the choice. You're going to date her or you're not. But young man was not, he wasn't ready to relinquish the possibilities with young Lady B. And so he still persisted to ask, "Would you be interested in this 1-month hold on this relationship?" Now, here's my statement. In this story that I just told you, my boy is in such a pickle. But is he not in more than a pickle? With young Lady B, has he not twisted himself into a full-blown 11-year-old level entanglement? What say you, sir? What say you? Yes? No? Maybe so.
Ooh, we are speaking about some deep things.
What do we
First of all,
got?
I've got a few follow-up questions before I give an answer.
All right.
My first question is the ride or die friend of girl A when she came when she spoke to Don D's DeLuise.
Yes.
Did they end up kissing?
No, they did not.
Because that would have taken this to the next level of triangulated love.
No, he's not that bad. He wasn't that bad. He wasn't that bad.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
Secondly,
I can't believe you asked that. That's jacked up, bro.
Inquiring minds want to know, bro.
Oh, man. Okay, all right.
It's not for me. It's Ricky just texted me, and he was like, can you ask Donovan? And I was like, Ricky, that's embarrassing, but okay, let me ask him.
Ricky is getting too involved in this situation. All right, but no. To clear the air, no.
Okay, cool. That's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Secondly, is it fair to assume that this 11-year-old boy does not quite yet fully understand the depth of love between
I think that's pretty safe
people?
to say. I think that's pretty safe. I think it's pretty safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
so here's my assessment to the statement. Depending on how we define entanglement, I say yes, it is. However, my caveat is that we have to be able to delineate the difference between lust, infatuation, and in an individual who feels a deep sense of friendship and love and desire for another person.
Right. Friendship to kissing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I would not excuse either, but I would say that that it's with one of those things, it's not quite as clear cut as, are you attracted to them or not?
Right.
Or do you find them physically attractive? A lot of people have affairs with a lot of people that are not as cute as their spouses. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? And you got to ask yourself. At least I would say to myself when I see some people, I'm like, look, if you're gonna go all that way out, so that you might get divorced and have to pay somebody else 50% of your paycheck.
Mercy,
you gotta
Lord.
ruin your kid's life.
Mercy,
You're gonna
Lord.
mess up everything. That person better be daggone good looking.
Ho!
They better have something to offer you. They better be a millionaire. Cause I ain't trying to go through all this again, man. And I love my wife deeply. Like that's my road dog. But I'm like, I don't ever want to go through another wedding again. I don't want to have to go through trying to figure out another human being again. I'm not trying to. No, look, it's too much.
Too much.
So you got to ask yourself, like, if it's not just physical attraction, what happens here? And that's why I think it's important that we've got to be careful to draw enough boundaries not to get like into emotional affairs, which I think can lead to some really, really awkward situations physically with other people.
Ooh. Dang. Now you're saying it. All right, so you ready to give a definition for entanglement to some degree?
I don't know that I am. I don't know that I have a well thought out definition, and I'm sure that hundreds and thousands of people have tweeted out some pretty good definitions by now.
Yeah.
I've seen quite a few memes about it. Some of them is funny. Others of them are just cruel. And I think to myself, it's interesting that we find her honesty easy to pick on. When in actuality, as human beings, we all have flaws, right? Like I'm a crack a joke at you, even though I'm doing the same thing, just nobody knows about it. Right. One of the dangers I think between people is like when people say to me, I'm not attracted to anyone but my partner.
That's wrong. That's a lie.
That's absolutely wrong. If you're not attracted to anybody but your partner, you're probably not attracted to your partner because you're a machine.
Hello.
We're built with chemistries. God has built in us emotions and desire, and this is a part of us, right? Like so when you say you're never attracted? You've never seen a beautiful person apart from your spouse, and I've seen your spouse.
Oh, wait, whoa, where you going with that?
You lying?
Dang, yeah.
Right?
Now,
I'd
from
be
what
lying if I said that.
from what I hear, on the visual level,
Yeah.
and the physical aspect, that seems to be more on the male side, and the emotions, that emotion connection seems to be more on the side of the ladies. This is what I've heard in general talk. Now, I don't know how true that is. I'm sure it varies, but yeah, that is interesting to think about, because some of these people, the times when we're like, why is she with that dude? Yeah, he done touched her in a different way.
Yeah, it's true.
In a different way. He's reached into their soul, and without getting too innuendo-ish, it has happened. I read some articles, man, in looking toward this, and one of them that I looked at, it was called Entanglement versus Affair. What's the difference? What's the difference? They talked to these two couples therapists. One was a sexologist. Another one does like research and stuff.
You gotta get a sexologist on here, Dondies.
Dude, we need to. We need to. We're gonna
find one in the future. I think it's hard
hit us
because
up.
as Adventists, we don't have a lot of sexologists in
I know we're not really trying to talk about it.
They don't tell people that.
Yeah. But we need to normalize it. We need to normalize it. So hit us up, urbanprophetspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know if you're a sexologist, and we get that thing cracking, crack that thing open. All right, so there was a couple bullet points, and then I want to get your feedback on this, right? So they talked to these two couples therapists, and they asked them, what is there a difference with entanglement and affairs? And so one the therapist like straight out was like, it's the same thing. Right? It's the same thing. But here's why. Here's what they explained. They said it takes one partner emotionally away from the other. And that's what's going on. And so yes, entanglement, affair, same situation. The other said, entanglement is like a super vague term. It's like any relationship can be an entanglement. Like, what are we saying here, right? And the article goes on, and they were talking about the idea of rebranding, and they're like, is entanglement? Is it just a rebranding of the term affair? And they're like, dude, yes, it is, because it's an extramarital relationship. Even terms like extramarital, that was probably a term that like the first person that got caught, they were trying to explain. They were like, well, I could, this was an extramarital situation, yes.
What you have here is it's an unfair. No, it is a fair kind of.
One party was engaged.
Type, engagement, if you will.
The other one was unaware of the activities, and but they were still married, so it was marriage, and then a little bit more. Yes, that's where we are. Oh man, but this is the thing that got me real messed up. I was like, dude, okay, we're going. I don't know where we going in the world when we get to this point, right? So the one therapist says, and I'm quoting here, it says, people choose different words to describe their relationships and breakups. I think it's really up to the couple or individual to choose the words that feel right for them. I'm like, nah, dog. If my wife has an affair and she's like, no, this was simply an extramarital entanglement. You're misunderstanding. You're greatly misunderstanding. I'm like, get your bags. You're out. or like my post, which what I actually did. There's a post. If anybody hasn't seen it, you can go to Don D's on Instagram @DonD's and you'll see it. And I'm sitting out there on the side of the road with my bags, waiting for somebody to pick me up. Because I tried to explain to my wife I was in some entanglement, and she was like, on the road again. Get your bags and get on the road again. Yeah, dude, that doesn't fly. It's not like, look, this is I know you're mad and you think I had an affair. That's what you think. I could see how you'd say it that way. But I'm more comfortable with using extramarital entanglement. So it's not, affair. That's not the,
No.
you know what, you know
This
what
is
it's
more
like?
like an enhancement, if you will.
Yeah, it's a marital enhancement.
It's a marital enhancement.
It's a supplement, a marital supplement. I was practicing to get better for our
I'm
performance
about to
with
supplement my foot up your behind. You need to get your punk out of here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Exactly, man. It's like not to take it racial, but this is just what it reminded me of. A while ago, there were some lynchings, like literal hanging of black men on some trees. And during the press conference, the guy that was like the public relations officer for the state or for the county or whatever, he literally during his press conference he said, guys, can we stop using the word lynching? I'm not comfortable with that term. And I'm like, well, then you shouldn't have had a lynching. Because that's what it was. We don't care what you're comfortable with. Right. That's what it was, my guy. It was a lynching. All right? Call it what it is, right? Yeah. So that's the same thing with this entanglement. And, the whole thing that was interesting with the Jada and Will thing was he actually called it her speaking about her transgressions. And she was very quick to respond and say, well, I could see how you could see it that way, but I don't actually see it as transgression. She saw it as herself getting healing, and she saw it as her having a crutch because she likes to help
like
heal other people. Yeah.
Sexual healing.
I know. And it was, dude, it was... Sexual. It was nuts, man. It was nuts. And I think the thing that's going on in America, I can't speak around the world, but in America, we have a culture, at least in popular culture with young adults, in the hip hop realm and in the R&B world, because we have so many songs about this. We have so many songs about how he cheated on me, he lied to me, somebody sleeping in my bed. Messing with my Drew Hill back in the day, that was my jam. And the thing is, they talking about all these very painful situations, and we are dancing our lives away to this. We're just like sleeping in my bed, messing with my head. Oh, yeah.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Yeah, it wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
This is my jam. I love it.
I love it. Listen to all this unfaithfulness, boy. Get it? We're in the club rocking it, and it's crazy because what happens with that is it becomes normalized. It becomes a practice that probably existed. Obviously it existed before the songs because the songs had to have the motivation for it. But it's like a perpetual cycle, right? Because you got the song, and now that's making it normal. It's like, okay, everybody's going through this, and so it continues, and you have families that the kids are seeing the parents that have these extramarital entanglements and whatnot, and they start to think that's how life is. And instead of us saying, nah, that's actually not the healthy way, we just adapt to the world that we see and just accept it instead of saying, no, we could actually fight against this. We just accept it, right? We just accept it, and you have people that are like, well, people do this and people do that, and everybody can kind of do their own thing. And sometimes that might work, but I bet you there's a lot more people that are hurt by that than will admit, because society is like, oh, you're such a prude. You're such an uptight so-and-so. Like, look at the world, man. People do this. Everybody is cheating. I was listening. I was listening
Depression's
to
higher than ever. Anxiety's higher than ever. You know what I'm saying?
That's right, man. And why are all of these things happening? Because we're not fighting back. We're not fighting back against the unhealthy practices that exist in the world. And it's like some people are like, yeah, I'm cool with everything, and then till it happens to them, and then they gotta try to act like what they said.
Then they gotta follow up with what they were talking about.
And be like, yeah, no, I'm cool. No, that's the same. It ain't no thing. It ain't no thing. Dude, there's all kinds of. I mean, but let me tell you. Let's go into this. All right. So I was looking up because there's a lot of different types of romantic or affectionate or semi-affectionate relationships, right? And I don't know if you heard of this term. Have you ever heard of the term situationship? Situationship.
No.
So let me tell you how I got introduced to this term. I was watching a YouTube video. And there's a guy who's got like a series of like 3 or 4 skits, and there are these like situationships, like a reality show type vibe. But the whole thing that was weird is because so it's him and it's this girl, and they're like chilling in the apartment, and he's on his phone doing something, and then the girl's like, who you calling? And then he looks at her kind of weird, and she's like, I mean, not, you could, whoever you want. I mean, whatever. I know you're not my man, or you are, or you're not, whatever. So I went and looked this up because I was like, bro, this is a term that's been out here. And I've been married with kids, so I ain't been hip to the term. Right. And I went and looked it up, and I found this on a psychological website, like a Psychology Today type situation. And so I was like, oh, okay, this is like been out here. And here's the definition of a situationship. It's a romantic relationship that's undefined or uncommitted. It may be based in convenience or short-term circumstances, right? It involves some form of physical intimacy, but they are generally more than casual sexual intercourse. So it's not a full-on commitment, but it's more than casual. Unlike friends with benefits, where both parties agree to avoid developing feelings, the boundaries of a situationship are usually less clear. One or both parties might be waiting to see if the relationship becomes more serious over time. So it's kind of like, all right, yeah, we just seeing what's up.
Oh man, this ain't nothing but your quarter friendships, bro.
Quarter friendships.
You know what it's like. Yeah, that's it, man. Look, we in that algebra class together. You getting that A? We best friends this quarter. Next quarter, I'm in physics. Oh, what's up, man? You getting that A? We best friends this quarter. We be going to Denny's late at night. We be hanging out. We become best friends, and that quarter's up. Peace.
my. Dude, go ahead.
I kind of wanted to respond to the first portion of what you're talking about, because I believe that it's not really just the fact that we've popularized affairs and promiscuity. I think it's also the way we've made love, and we've sensationalized it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so love has become almost 100% sentimentality. It's how I feel. It's the feeling that I have. And anybody who's been married for a long time or enough time knows that love it cannot be the feeling. It literally has a big portion of that has to be choice. So when someone says, "Oh man, we fell in love," no, you can't just accidentally love someone. You can't accidentally run a marathon. In other words, you might accidentally sprint. You could probably accidentally sprint. Oh snap! I didn't know I was running for that like 10 feet. Let me stop. But for a marathon, you can't unintentionally run a marathon. You're gonna run 26 some odd miles. You're training. You're eating good. You're making a decision. You're pacing yourself. You know when to accelerate and when not to. And so because music has all kinds of music, not just hip hop, man. Love songs. You listen to Coast 103.5. Every song is about how I feel for you and you feel for me. But love is not that. It's not Disney. It's not like that. You kiss me and all of a sudden I wake up, my hair's beautiful in the morning. Love gets ugly. Love gets down in the dirt. Love says, I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to sacrifice for you. I'm going to live for you, and I'm going to die for you. And these are choices that I make because I don't feel like dying for anybody. And so we got to get to that place where we're talking to our kids and having these like critical conversations with our youth, with young adults, because young adults today are probably a little bit less aware of that, especially because you've got a lot of time on the internet that gives you a lot of things that you think you need. You haven't had real life conversations about love being something that you're committed to, man. You push through it. You decide, today I don't like you as my partner, but I love you. I've chosen to love you, and that means I'm choosing to communicate with you. I'm choosing to make sure that you've got food. I'm choosing to make sure that your needs are met, because that's what love looks like, right? It's commitment.
Yes, sir.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you're enjoying the conversation. We kept it going for quite a bit, so we had to break this one up into two. All right, so we're going to drop the second part. This is part one. We're going to drop the second part. You're not going to have to wait all the way till the end of the week. We're going to give it to you in the middle of the week, probably Tuesday, Wednesday. Drop that in there for you. Let you finish that off, man. All right, so take care. Be blessed. And have a wonderful day.